So you're playing football there in Chicago for the Bears a little bit, and your agent is a trader. I think we could probably talk about that. That's probably an interesting story in itself. But architecture, so you had no desire to go and build buildings, after going through that program. I mean, that's a tough program. It's a lot of study. But you wanted to play football, and you follow your dream there, and life kind of takes you down this path. And
sure.
you start talking about butterflies and strangles right away. You're not even talking about stocks. So you fall into a real strange niche there with options that probably, when you were looking at it, there was definitely no electronic markets. Those would really only come into their own over the last decade, especially when it comes to options, really the last 5 years. So, why options? So you hear about options, you hear about trading. I guess that's what you were first exposed to. Did you ever trade when you were, growing up? And, did you own stocks when you were a kid? Besides playing football, did you ever look at the market? Did you ever consider it?
No, I looked at it briefly, but I never really thought it would be a career. But then when I came down here to the floor mat, it was just so cool. Yeah. I mean, there's such a vibe. There's so much energy, because, being here and being in San Francisco, the adrenaline, it's the same kind of addictive pulse that you get from, from drugs or drinking, that you get this.
But also as a big guy and a football player, there's a place for guys like you down on the floor and in the pits right away. And guys like you and me who are big guys can find, really our own niche on any trading floor because of the, as you said, the adrenaline, the brashness of talk to me a little bit about that because, again, you're an athlete, you're playing physical sports, obviously, with football on the highest level. You go down to that pit and you're like, holy shit, I can get paid good money and I don't really have to worry about blowing out my knee so much and I don't have to worry about, this guy running me over and I'm trying to tackle him as a linebacker. I mean, that's again, a lot of people don't have that experience. Talk to us a little bit about the floor and what it's like down there.
Sure. Well, it was at that time very raucous, very noisy. You could not have a computer on the floor, and so it was a lot more interesting than it is today. Because, folks, if you've never been to a floor, first of all, come on out sometime to Chicago, but make it soon because the floors are disappearing, unfortunately.
Right.
Electronic trade is just so much faster, and the fact that you've got less friction is good for you and me, Matt, the trade upstairs, and it's the death for the guys on the trading floor. Really, the only trading that goes on is in the commodity pits and the S&P 500 options.
Right.
On the floor of the CBOE. Outside of that, it's all computer-to-computer trading. But when I got down there in 1981, it literally was you walked into the pit, you had to fight for a position in the pit.
Yeah.
And literally, you wouldn't necessarily do a lot of this, not a lot of punching because it was too expensive. But guys would accidentally elbow you or knee you or push you or whatever it took because, you were moving into their space. So it was competitive. You ended up developing a camaraderie with the guys and gals in the pit, but it was about 98% guys.
Yeah.
Every time there was a girl that even walked by, it was like there was a jailbreak or something. Every guy in the pit would be like, oh, look at that.
Conjugal visit.
That's right, because they all want to see, who's more macho, who's, like you said, brash. That's a very accurate description. The people down there on the floor aren't necessarily the people you'd want at your wedding unless you wanted a lot of bawdy tales told about you because the guys that are in the pit are the guys that, as soon as the day's over, they want to be at the bar drinking. They want to be out cheap.
They were the guys you wanted to hold your stag party for sure.
That's right. Those are the guys you'd want, to be in charge of lining up the entertainment and so forth,
right.
Because they're all about chasing girls. They're all about fast cars and fast motorcycles and all that kind of stuff. And they were all young, let's face it. Now, the people that run these same floors today could be young guys, but they're young guys that are computer jockeys, that are brilliant programmers that have great insights into models and spreading one financial instrument against another.
Yeah.
It's a completely different story than when it's physical and you're down there in the pit and, you're fighting for space and you're screaming all day. That's a different kind of outlet than we have today.
But would you say part of being on the floor with that camaraderie, I would imagine, not having ever really traded down there. I've spent time down there, but not really traded. And I've read, Schwartz talking in Pitbull. He talks about going down to the floor after being a upstairs trader and wanting to be he goes down there to a place he's never been, and of course gets his ass handed to him. So, but it's a different beast down there, and you trade with that emotion probably more than you do upstairs when you're looking at charts and doing those types of things. But I would also imagine, as you said, with that camaraderie, you get to know the other players, and you know what's going on. I mean, you can read them. I mean, and you probably become very much a support group for each other. Everybody goes through tough times in trading, and they go through things that are going on outside their life that could affect their trading, and you bring that to work, and there's a lot of downtime. I mean, trading, for most of us is not trading all the time. It's a lot of sitting around and contemplating and what ifs. So, talk to that point a little bit, what that camaraderie, what that was like for everybody down there.
Sure. Well, the camaraderie is what made it fun. And most of the guys on the floor, of course, developed great friendships with other traders in their pit. And like you said, the upstairs trading actually appeals to me a lot, not because of the camaraderie, because there is none. You're looking at, the camaraderie I've got in this room right now. But the cool thing was that we were all trading the same product. We were all trading IBM. We were all trading Capital Cities or Biogen or whatever it might have been. And so everybody knew everything about every trade that went on in those stocks.